Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to lean in and catch this, because what I'm about to share with you has the potential to shift your entire life trajectory. Most people are so busy watching what everybody else is doing, comparing themselves to friends, colleagues, or strangers online, that they miss the very assignment God gave them. And here's the truth. When you stop focusing on others and start focusing on yourself, you won't need to announce your growth. Your results will announce you. Your success will shock everyone who once doubted you. Focus is your superpower, and once you grasp that truth, everything in your life begins to change. Too many people waste their greatest asset, attention, by scattering it in 100 different directions. They are busy, but they are not effective. They are moving, but not advancing. Let me tell you something. Distraction is not just an inconvenience. It is a strategy designed to keep you average. The reason most people don't reach their full potential is not because they lack talent. It's because they lack focus. And when you finally learn to channel your energy into one vision, one mission, one calling, you become unstoppable. Think about it. A magnifying glass sitting under the sun does nothing until it concentrates the rays in one place. The moment that focus is applied, it creates fire. The same sunlight that warms the earth can burn through steel if concentrated. That's how your life works. Your time, your energy, your creativity, when scattered, they produce mediocrity. But when you harness them with laser focus, they produce excellence, wealth, and transformation. People will wonder how you created so much momentum, how you achieved in a few years what they couldn't do in decades. The answer is simple. You stopped leaking energy on distractions and started directing it toward your destiny. Here's a hook you need to remember. Distractions are disguised as opportunities. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your purpose, you're saying no to your own progress. That's why focus is not just about choosing what to do. It's about choosing what not to do. Greatness is not built on addition. It's built on subtraction. You don't need more tasks. You need more clarity. You don't need more approval. You need more alignment. When your vision is clear, your decisions become easy. And when your decisions are easy, your progress becomes unstoppable. Now, here's the hard truth. Focus requires sacrifice. You cannot binge watch your destiny. You cannot scroll your way into success. You cannot expect to be extraordinary while living like everyone else. Every champion you admire, whether in business, sports, or faith, became great because they learned to say no to what was convenient and yes to what was necessary. That discipline of focus separates amateurs from masters. The amateur tries to do everything and impress everyone. The master knows what matters, locks in, and doesn't stop until it's done. And let me give you another hook. Success is not about doing more, it's about doing less better. If you can master one thing, the world will pay you more than someone who dabbles in 20 things. Focus multiplies value. A scattered mind produces scattered results, but a focused mind produces undeniable fruit. Imagine what would happen if for the next 12 months you committed all of your energy, all of your resources, and all of your discipline into mastering one thing that moves you closer to your destiny. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year of focused effort. Focus also creates confidence. The reason many people feel insecure about their future is because they're half committed. When you give something your full attention, doubt starts to fade because deep down you know you've given your all. And when you give your all consistently, results start showing up. Those results reinforce your belief. And soon you're walking in boldness, not hesitation. People will call it confidence, but really it's just the natural byproduct of focus. Don't miss this. Your focus is your freedom. It frees you from comparison because you're too busy building to watch others. It frees you from fear because you know where you're going. It frees you from failure because even setbacks become stepping stones when your eyes stay locked on the goal. And the moment you embrace that level of focus, life stops being random and starts being intentional. The world cannot ignore a focused person. They may overlook you when you're scattered, but they cannot deny you when you're locked in. Focus makes you a force of nature. So guard your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Every destiny is destroyed not by lack of talent, but by divided attention. Keep your eyes on your purpose, your hands on your work, and your heart on your vision. The world is waiting to see what happens when you stop leaking potential and start living focused. And when you do, the shockwaves of your transformation will be undeniable. Results speak louder than words, and the sooner you embrace that principle, the sooner your life will shift. Words are cheap, everyone has them. Promises are common, everyone makes them. But results, real, undeniable, measurable results, those cannot be ignored. They don't need an introduction. They don't need an explanation. And they don't need validation. Results walk into the room before you do, and they speak in a language that everyone understands. That's why if you want to shock the people who doubted you, if you want to silence the critics, if you want to inspire others, don't spend your energy talking about what you're going to do. Spend it producing results. People around you are watching. Some are cheering, some are doubting, and some are waiting for you to fail so they can say, I knew it. But here's the hook. When you let your results do the talking, you take the weapon out of their hands. Doubters can argue with your words, but they cannot argue with your fruit. They can dismiss your dreams, but they cannot dismiss your evidence. Evidence doesn't need defending. Evidence doesn't need explanation. Evidence is proof, and proof is power. This is why most people struggle. They confuse activity with productivity. They think talking about their goals is the same as achieving them. They get a dopamine rush from telling others what they're planning, but then they never do the work to make it happen. And because of that, they live in a cycle of declarations without demonstrations. But here's the truth: nobody respects declarations without results. If you keep saying you're going to do something, but your life doesn't reflect it, eventually your words lose weight. The world honors execution, not intention. If you want to shock everyone, build quietly and let the finished product show up loudly. You don't have to announce your grind. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. And you don't have to broadcast your every move. The most powerful moves are made in silence, and the most shocking results appear when no one expected them. That's how legacies are built. While others are talking, you're working. While others are posting, you're producing. While others are explaining, you're executing. And when the harvest comes, those same people will wonder how you did it. Here's another hook: explanations convince people, but results convict them. You don't need to debate your doubters, just outperform them. You don't need to justify your decisions, just manifest the outcomes. You don't need to prove them wrong with your words, because your success will prove it with evidence. Think about it. When someone shows up with undeniable results, people stop asking questions and start taking notes. That's the difference between a dreamer and a doer. A dreamer talks about it, a doer shows it. Results also create influence. Influence is not about how many people follow your words. It's about how many people can't ignore your results. People follow evidence. They follow success. They follow transformation. That's why your greatest testimony is not what you say, it's who you become. You don't have to tell the world you've changed. When your life reflects growth, discipline, and prosperity, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge it. But don't miss this, results require consistency. One good day of effort will not produce lasting fruit. It's not about doing it once. It's about doing it daily. The results you want will come from the habits you build, not the promises you make. And when you stay consistent long enough, results compound. What starts as a small improvement becomes a major transformation. That compounding effect is what makes people look at you and say, how did they do it? They don't realize it wasn't magic, it was consistency. So stop worrying about proving yourself with words. Stop rehearsing explanations for people who doubt you. Stop wasting energy trying to convince anyone. Put your energy where it matters, into execution. Because when your life is producing undeniable evidence, when your results are shining brighter than your words, the conversation changes. People stop questioning you and start respecting you. And that respect, that influence, that impact, it can't be bought. It has to be built. And you build it by letting your results do the talking. Motivation will get you started, but discipline will keep you going when the excitement wears off. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they take action. But here's the truth: motivation is like a spark. Discipline is the firewood. Without discipline, the flame dies out quickly. Discipline is the bridge between what you intend to do and what you actually achieve. And until you embrace discipline as a way of life, you'll always be dependent on feelings, and feelings are too unreliable to build a future on. Here's a hook for you. Motivation is a visitor, but discipline is a resident. Motivation shows up when it feels like it, but discipline lives with you daily. That's why the people who achieve greatness aren't necessarily the most motivated, they're the most disciplined. They don't wait for the perfect mood. They don't depend on excitement. And they don't give their feelings the steering wheel. They show up no matter what, and because of that, they separate themselves from the crowd. The difference between winners and quitters is not talent, it's discipline. Talent may give you a head start, but discipline keeps you in the race. How many people do you know who are gifted, smart or creative, yet stuck in the same place year after year? It's not because they lack ability, it's because they lack consistency. Discipline is what turns potential into progress. Discipline is what turns dreams into reality. And discipline is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't always feel good. It often feels boring, repetitive, even painful. But don't mistake discomfort for weakness. Discipline is the weight training of your future. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you're building the muscle that will carry you into success. People who only chase motivation quit when it gets hard, but people who build discipline push through when it gets hard. And that's where breakthroughs live, beyond the point where most people give up. Let me give you another hook. Motivation builds desire, But discipline builds destiny. You cannot build a lasting legacy on emotions. Emotions shift daily, but discipline sets a standard that does not change with the weather. When you master discipline, you no longer have to negotiate with yourself about whether to show up, whether to commit, or whether to keep going. You already decided, and your discipline enforces that decision. Look at the athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders you admire. Do you think they feel motivated every single day? Absolutely not. But their discipline keeps them training, keeps them creating, keeps them moving when their feelings scream for comfort. Discipline is what allows them to operate on principle, not mood. And when you live by principle, you build a foundation that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks or emotions. Another powerful truth: discipline creates freedom. Most people think discipline is restriction, but it's the opposite. The disciplined person has the freedom to live the life they choose because they paid the price up front. The undisciplined person is trapped in regret, excuses, and limitations. The disciplined person invests in the future, while the undisciplined person mortgages their future for comfort today. Which one do you think ends up living with freedom, wealth, and impact? Discipline also compounds over time. The small choices you make daily, waking up early, studying, training, saving, building, may seem insignificant in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, they create massive separation. The undisciplined person falls further behind without even realizing it, while the disciplined person rises higher until the gap is undeniable. At that point, people will call you lucky, but luck had nothing to do with it. Discipline built the difference. So stop waiting for motivation to come rescue you. Stop waiting for the right mood, the right timing, the right feeling. Your destiny doesn't care how you feel. It responds to what you consistently do. The person who shows up every day, disciplined, will always outperform the person who shows up occasionally motivated. Choose discipline, because discipline guarantees progress, and progress creates results. And once you taste those results, you'll realize that motivation is nice, but discipline is everything. At first, they will overlook you. In the middle, they will doubt you. But in the end, they will not even recognize you. That's the power of growth. And when you commit yourself to it, you become unshakable and unforgettable. People often underestimate the power of transformation because it doesn't happen overnight. But when it does show up, it shows up so boldly that no one can deny it. Growth shocks people because it turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, and it takes the version of you they thought they knew and replaces it with someone entirely new. Here's the hook. Your growth is your revenge. You don't need to argue with critics, clap back at doubters, or explain yourself to those who don't believe in you. You simply need to grow. And when you grow, your transformation becomes the loudest answer you could ever give. The very people who counted you out will have to recount, because the new version of you won't fit in their old categories. Growth is not just about doing more, it's about becoming more. And becoming more requires going through seasons that don't always feel glamorous. Growth requires discomfort, discipline, and patience. It requires being willing to be misunderstood for a while because people cannot see what you see. But here's the truth. You are not living for their understanding. You are living for your destiny. And when you stay committed to the process, the results will shock even you. Most people give up in the middle. The middle is the hardest part when you've started, but the results haven't fully shown up yet. The beginning feels exciting because it's fresh. The ending feels rewarding because it's visible. But the middle feels like a desert where it looks like nothing is happening. That's why people doubt you there. They'll say, see, I told you it wouldn't work. They'll whisper, why are you still trying? But if you hold steady, if you keep planting seeds, if you keep showing up, eventually the harvest will appear. And when it does, it won't just be a small shift. It will be a transformation so big they can't deny it. Let me give you another hook. Consistency makes you unrecognizable. Growth is quiet at first, almost invisible. But compounded over time, it builds momentum. You'll wake up one day and realize you're not the same person who started. Your habits changed, your mindset elevated, your results multiplied. And while you've been evolving daily, the people who doubted you will only see the before and after. To them, it will feel sudden, but to you, it was the product of relentless focus and discipline. That's why your growth shocks people. It happens gradually, but it appears suddenly. Think about the butterfly. Nobody applauds the caterpillar. Nobody praises the cocoon. In fact, while the transformation is happening, it looks like nothing is taking place. But when the butterfly emerges, it shocks everyone. The same creature that crawled is now flying. And the same people who overlooked you as a caterpillar will be stunned when they see you soaring as a butterfly. That's what growth does. It changes the form, the function, and the future. Another truth about growth is that it demands separation. Not everyone can go with you to your next level. Some people will fall off, not because you're better, but because you're different now. Your vision, your habits, your standards, they won't match where they are. And that's okay. Growth means outgrowing. Don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. If your growth shocks them, let it shock them. You weren't called to stay the same. You were called to transform. When you embrace growth fully, you realize you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to beg for recognition because results speak louder than introductions. The shock will come naturally. People will go from asking, "Who do you think you are?" to whispering, "How did they do it?" And the answer will always be the same. You stayed faithful to the process of growth when they stopped paying attention. So commit to becoming unrecognizable. Commit to doing the quiet work that no one sees so you can enjoy the loud results no one can deny. Commit to growing in such a way that even you look back and say, "I can't believe I came this far." Because when you do, you'll embody this truth. At first, they'll overlook you. In the middle, they'll doubt you. But in the end, they won't even recognize you. The moment you start comparing yourself to others, you begin to shrink your own greatness. Comparison is the silent thief that robs you of joy, confidence, and creativity. You were not designed to be a copy of anyone else. You were designed to be the original version of yourself. And the truth is this: God didn't give you their gift, He gave you yours. The moment you start chasing what someone else has, you're abandoning what you were meant to build. Here's a hook you need to catch. Comparison is a distraction dressed as inspiration. On the surface, it looks like you're just admiring someone else's progress, but deep down, it can make you doubt your own. You scroll, you watch, you listen, and suddenly you feel like you're behind, like you're inadequate, like you're not enough. But the reality is, you're not behind, you're just in your lane. You're not inadequate, you're just in a different season. And you're not late, You're right on time for the assignment that belongs to you. Your purpose is not supposed to look like anyone else's. If two people had the exact same calling, one of them would be unnecessary. That means your uniqueness is your advantage. And when you dilute it by comparing yourself to others, you weaken the very thing that makes you valuable. Growth doesn't come from imitation, it comes from authenticity. If you spend all your time trying to copy someone else's blueprint, you'll never discover the masterpiece that's inside of you. Think about it, a tree doesn't look at the flower and say, why don't I bloom like that? A river doesn't look at the mountain and say, why don't I stand tall like that? Everything in creation fulfills its purpose by being what it was designed to be. The tree grows tall, the flower blooms bright, the river flows strong, and the mountain stands firm. None of them compare, yet all of them matter. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone because your role in this world is just as significant. Another hook, when you compare, you compete, but when you focus on your gift, you create. Competition limits you to the level of the person you're competing against. Creation takes you into limitless possibility. Stop trying to outdo someone else and start trying to outgrow your own last version. That's the only competition that matters. Becoming better today than you were yesterday. If you stay locked on that path, your growth becomes unstoppable. Comparison also distorts timing. You might see someone else's success and feel like you're behind, but you don't know the price they paid, the years they invested, or the battles they fought. You're comparing your chapter 3 to their chapter 30, and that's unfair to your own journey. Every seed blooms in its season, and if you dig yours up too early because you're jealous of someone else's harvest, you'll kill what was meant to bless you. Trust your process because your timing is perfect for your path. Another truth comparison makes you miss gratitude. When you're so busy looking at what you don't have, you forget to appreciate what you do have. Gratitude multiplies progress, but comparison kills it. You can't build momentum while constantly wishing you were someone else. Gratitude keeps you grounded in your lane, and when you're grounded, you grow. If you want to shock the world, stop trying to be a second-rate version of someone else and start becoming a first-class version of yourself. Embrace your story, your scars, your lessons, your voice, your vision. That's where your power lies. And the people you're comparing yourself to, many of them are wishing they had the boldness to be as authentic as you. So refuse to let comparison steal your creation. Refuse to measure your value by someone else's highlight reel. Refuse to trade your originality for imitation. You've been equipped with everything you need to succeed in your lane, and when you stay focused on that, your results will not only silence comparison, they will inspire others to stop comparing and start creating. That's how you win, not by being like them, but by being fully, unapologetically you. Applause feels good, but it fades quickly. Approval feels rewarding, but it doesn't last. Legacy, on the other hand, is eternal. Too many people live their lives chasing recognition from others, hoping to hear the claps, the compliments, and the validation. But here's the truth: applause is temporary noise, while legacy is permanent impact. When you shift from seeking approval to building legacy, everything about your life changes. You stop living for the moment and start living for eternity. Here's a hook you must hold onto. Applause feeds your ego, but legacy feeds generations. One lasts seconds, the other lasts lifetimes. The problem is most people get addicted to being seen. They want to be acknowledged, they want to be validated, they want to be celebrated. And in the process, they forget that the greatest achievements are not about being seen, but about creating something that outlives you. You don't have to be popular to be powerful, and you don't have to be visible to be valuable. Chasing approval keeps you small. It makes you dependent on others for permission to shine. It forces you to adjust your vision to fit their comfort. But here's the reality. Some people will never clap for you, no matter what you achieve. And if your energy depends on their applause, you'll stop the moment they go silent. Legacy-driven people don't need permission. They don't need recognition. They don't need an audience. They keep building even in silence because they know the true reward is not the noise of the crowd, but the impact they leave behind. Think about the people you admire most in history. Many of them were not celebrated in their lifetime. Some were even ridiculed, doubted, or rejected. But today, their names carry weight, their ideas changed nations, and their sacrifices built futures. They didn't chase applause, they chased purpose. And because they chased purpose, their lives echo long after their voices went silent. That's what legacy does. It speaks when you can't. Here's another hook: approval is borrowed, but legacy is owned. Approval can be given today and taken away tomorrow. Legacy is something no one can erase. When you're focused on approval, you live like a performer, always waiting for the crowd's reaction. But when you're focused on legacy, you live like a builder, laying bricks that no storm can wash away. Builders outlast performers every time. Legacy also requires sacrifice. You can't build something that lasts without letting go of temporary pleasures and distractions. Approval seekers want quick results because they want quick recognition. Legacy builders play the long game. They plant seeds that may take years to bloom, but once they bloom, they provide fruit for generations. You may not get claps today, but one day, someone will thank you for the foundation you laid. That gratitude is far more valuable than any applause you could have chased in the moment. Another truth: legacy creates freedom. When you're no longer concerned about what people think, you're free to pursue what truly matters. You're free to dream bigger, act bolder, and build deeper. Approval keeps you in a box because it's limited by people's opinions. Legacy breaks the box because it's fueled by vision. People may doubt your vision now, but when the results of your legacy stand tall, the same people who once doubted you will benefit from what you built. If you want to shock the world, stop chasing claps and start laying bricks. Build businesses, build families, build systems, build communities, build faith, build habits that will still be standing long after you're gone. That's real power. And the beautiful thing is this: once you start building legacy, approval often comes as a byproduct. But by then, you won't even need it because your work will already be speaking louder than applause ever could. So shift your focus. Don't live for the sound of hands clapping. Live for the sound of lives changing. Don't measure your value by how loud people cheer. Measure it by how deeply people grow because of what you've done. Approval fades, applause ends, but legacy remains. And when you live with that focus, your life won't just be remembered, it will be celebrated for generations.